Because the truth is, the person who hurt you, they know they're an asshole, and they probably don't feel very good about themselves. They can't look at the mirror. They can't look at themselves in the mirror. They can't hold their head up because they know what they did to you, and they know you didn't deserve it. One of the really cool things about having this podcast has been just the random strangers that have reached out and just shared their stories with me. It's been really interesting. It's kind of like, I think, being a bartender, right? Like bartenders will just, they hear all these stories and from perfect strangers, and they'll tell them their most intimate details and intimate stories, just because for some reason they view the bartender as a safe place. And that's been happening with me. And in some ways, I wish this thing was moving faster and bigger, but in others, I actually really love the fact that it's growing at the pace that it is, because when somebody reaches out, I get to actually connect with them and hear their stories, and I'm just fascinated with people and their stories. So to hear their stories and have time to listen to them and to hear their perspective on things has been really, really fascinating. I did an episode a little while ago about forgiveness, and that actually sparked some really interesting feedback and a bunch more questions. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to remain in your truth, how to be true to yourself, and how to take the high road when the people around you are doing everything they can to drag you into the mud. So with that said, new episode, Army of Great Men. Let's go. How do you take the high road when the person that you're talking to is determined to bring you down in the mud? How do you do that? It's not easy, right? It's not easy. I'm going to share with you some stories that I've heard over the last little while, and some of them may or may not be my own, but I'm trying to take the high road too, so I don't want to sling any mud with any of the people in my life. So I'm just going to share a few stories today, and just talk about maybe some different approaches on how to make sure you get to stay classy, because you got to look in the mirror at the end of the day too, right? I mean, it's important that when we go through a breakup or a divorce, or you split from your partners at work or whatever, lose a friend, any of those things, it's easy to fall victim or to fall into the trap of airing all your dirty laundry and getting muddy and doing all that. Because nobody, what's the line from Roadhouse? Nobody wins a fight. It's true, right? You want to start airing your grievances publicly, you're going to end up looking like an asshole, and then they're going to get exactly what they want in that. So the first thing we have to remember when somebody does shitty things, right? If somebody does something shitty to you, let's say they cheat on you, or let's say they betray you in some way, or they, whatever, they steal money, they whatever. Oftentimes what those people will do is, these people are they're very worried about how the world will look at them, right? So if they've done something shitty to you and that shitty thing is known, right, then they need to justify it somehow. So one of the things that people will do when they've done something awful to you is they will paint a story about you that is untrue, and they'll paint that story in a way where they make you the villain, and so somehow their actions are justified, right? So let's say they cheated on you. Well, if they cheated on you, maybe what they'll do is they will tell stories about you that are so rotten and so shitty that, anybody listening would go, well, oh God, I don't blame you for cheating on them. They sound like a real asshole. And so that's what they do. And And so it's frustrating because, if you're on the wrong side of something like that, if somebody has cheated on you or betrayed you or whatever, not only do you get left feeling all those awful feelings of betrayal and abandonment and that hurt, but then to add insult to injury, that person who did that to you is going to tell a bunch of shitty stories about you in order to justify their behavior. So it's the definition of insult to injury, right? Not only are you the one that didn't do anything wrong, but then they're going to try to paint you in a light that makes you look like such a bad person you deserve to be cheated on. It really, it's a mind fuck. It's brutal. So what do you do in those cases, right? What do you do? It's not an easy question. It's not an easy answer, right? Somehow you need to be the bigger person in that scenario. Somehow you need to still be the one who takes the high road, somehow preserve your reputation in it, and go that way. Well, the first thing you have to remember is that the people who actually know you, the people who know what you're about, the people who know your character, your heart, they're not going to believe it, right? They're not. They're not going to believe these stories because they're going to know what you're all about. They know you. So when the person who wronged you is then trying to paint you out to be the villain, the people who believe it, they don't matter, right? They don't, right? Do you really care if your ex's mom still likes you? Do you really care? Maybe you do, right? Maybe they do. What chances are on your list of, your top 100 things to worry about, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It sucks, right? Because nobody wants to be painted as something worse than they are. Nobody wants to be the villain. So you got to just let, the people that don't matter, let them think what they want, right? Rise above. One of the really, really great songs out there, how when you're going through a breakup and, you're listening to love songs or songs while you're and you're like, you swear it's written about you, right? Some of those songs can really, really be impactful when you need it. There's a song that I absolutely love. It's called The Joke by Brandi Carlile. And, basically it's talking about how you can take your shots while you can, get them in now, get them in while you can. Because the joke's on you, right? You left, you did this stuff, but I'm going to rise above and you're going to look back and go, geez, did I ever blow that? And everybody around you is going to know how it went. So the chorus is something like, I've seen this movie. I've seen how it ends. The joke's on them, right? And that's sort of the way you have to look at it, right? When they're trying to tear you down, when they're trying to do this, just play the long game, right? In the short term, everybody looks like a donkey in a breakup, right? It's hard to look anything. It's hard to look your best when you're going through a breakup because you're not. You're in the ditch, right? And so the person who was the one who instigated it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all breakups have to be, somebody has to be a villain. I'm not saying that. But in some cases where there's betrayal, there's cheating, there's something like that. Yeah, there's a good guy and a bad guy in some breakups, right? We know this. And so when you feel like you're on, the right side of it, when you feel like you can still look at yourself in the mirror, but your former partner is doing everything they can to tear you down and betray you, it's hard to keep that high road. It's hard to keep your head up and not worry about what everybody thinks about you. But if you play the long game, right? And the long game meaning I'm going to behave in such a way that, sooner or later, people are going to figure out what actually happened here, right? So the way you do that is you keep your character, you keep your truth, and you wear it. You wear your truth. Doesn't mean you're walking around telling your side of the story or airing dirty laundry or whatever, right? Because when you do that, when you air dirty laundry, you look like an asshole. Even if it's true, you do. You look petty. You look like an asshole. And don't be an asshole, guys. Don't. You're not an asshole. So don't be one. Don't stoop to their level. Just rise above. And in the long run, everybody will know. And you know what the most important thing is? You know, right? Nobody cares more about their reputation than I do, right? I've worked very, very hard in the business community and with my friends and, the golf course I play at and with my family. I've worked really hard on my reputation. And it's funny. Once you work that hard on your reputation and you know what you're about and you know your truth, when people think things about you that aren't true, you don't even care. Just like, fuck them. Like, they clearly don't know the truth. They clearly don't know what's going on. And if they thought they knew me and this is what they think I do, that's on them. Don't need them, right? Nobody truly knows you. They're not going to believe the lies. They're not. They're just going to laugh at them. So let them get their shots in while they can, right? Let them. In the long run, they're digging their own grave by slinging mud publicly. So let them. And nobody who knows you is going to care. So just don't worry about it. Like, it really doesn't matter. Just let it go. It doesn't matter. Where it gets tricky, and I didn't understand gaslighting really until a little while ago. Gaslighting is a tough thing. I don't like a lot of the words that we throw around like crazy, right? Like triggered and this and that. And everybody's triggered now. Everybody's triggered about everything. And, oh, you're gaslighting me. Gaslighting sucks. So gaslighting is when, and actually, you know who does this the best? Politicians. Politicians gaslight all the time, right? I don't want to get too political on our show, but like, you watch Justin Trudeau, who's our prime minister here in Canada, and he will look directly at the camera and he will say something that he knows is untrue, that everybody else knows is untrue. And he'll say it in such a way that, even though even though he knows that that he's lying, even though all those things are in place, he'll still say it like it's the truth and say it in such a way where if you try to dispute it, he'll look at you like you're insane. I don't know how politicians do it. Like, I swear to God, you have to be like some sort of a sociopath or narcissist or some combo of both to be a politician these days. It's pretty crazy. But people do this too. And when somebody is saying a lie to your face and they know it's a lie and you know it's a lie and they know that they know it's a lie and they still say it anyway as though it's, God's gospel. God, it's frustrating. Like, you just want to rip your hair out. But it's when you have to take the high road the most, right? And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a rise out of you. They're trying to make you lose your cool and they're trying to make you kind of snap and look like the bad guy. So don't let them win. Like, just look at them with amusement, right? Honestly, like, they think of the worst thing that they could say to you and just look at them with, like, just laugh at them. Because anything else you do, anything else you say, you're going to come out looking like a shithead. So don't do that. Don't stoop to their level. It's generally the only way that they can win when they're doing stuff like that is if you engage in the conversation. So just leave it. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. One of the things that I've learned, and this is something very, very consistent in talking with a lot of people who've been through this. So if you're an honest person, you're wired to believe that other people are honest too, right? That's just how you're wired. Everybody sees in other people what they see in themselves. So people who are honest don't walk around accusing people of cheating and lying and, whatever. They just don't, because that's not who they are. But dishonest people are also the most distrusting people because they know that they lie, so they just assume that other people do it too. This actually is a really, really interesting way to figure out what a liar is going to do. Because what they do is they will project all of the things that they're thinking and feeling on you. So every time you're dealing with somebody like this, and I'm talking about people who are like pathological liars. And if you ever have an experience with somebody who's a pathological liar, it's a hard thing to deal with, right? Because it's just like it's crazy. Again, the gaslighting, the lying, it really is nuts, and it can drive you insane if you're on the other end of it. But again, maintaining your poise and holding your own truth can go a long way, particularly when you're trying to figure out what they're trying to do. So one of the things you can figure out is everything they accuse you of, everything they're accusing of, and everything that they're saying about you in truth is actually a reflection on themselves. And when you look at it that way, it's the easiest thing in the world, right? Like it really is. It's like playing poker with somebody who bluffs on every single hand. Well, eventually you're going to get them, right? They're bluffing every time. So don't tip your hand. Don't let them know that you know that they're lying about everything. But really use that to your advantage, right? When they are taking those shots at you and they're accusing you of this and they're saying all these things about you, just know that what they're really doing is they're describing themselves at every turn. And when you go back and you replay all the fights that you've had with people who are like that, if you go back and replay them and you replay the awful things that they're saying about you and the things that they're doing, they're showing their cards. They're telling you what they are thinking, what they are doing, who they are, and what their actions are. They're giving away their hand. So, and again, if you're too busy getting defensive and if you're too busy yelling and screaming back at them and doing all that, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss your opportunity to learn exactly what they're doing. So just stay poised, stay in your truth and stay there. And if you do that, you're going to gain so much knowledge about what they're trying to do. It becomes a little bit entertaining. I've heard so many awful stories about things that nobody should have to go through, right? But you do. So you might as well make something out of it. And one of the things, I've talked to a number of people who've been through betrayal. And I've talked to some people who they look back on it and it's just like, oh my God, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. If they didn't cheat on me, I'd still be with them. I'd still be in my shitty marriage or my shitty relationship or whatever. And there's a lot of people like that. The ones that really break my heart are the ones who are so scarred and so hurt that they just can't ever fathom letting anybody else in. You want to let your ex win? You want to let him win? Let that hurt reach you in such a way that you just put walls up for every other relationship you're ever going to have and you never let anybody in. That's awful. That is a horribly sad outcome. And you know what, you guys? The person who did that to you, they want to break you. They want to. That's part of their objective. They want to hurt you. And they want to hurt you in a way that you don't get up off the mat, that you're done. Don't let them do that, you guys. Don't let them. Don't give them that power. And I recognize that it's not as simple as just saying, I'm just going to not ever be untrusting again or anything like that, because that is the other way that people become untrusting in others. A, maybe they're a liar themselves, like I talked about earlier, or B, they've been betrayed in a way that's just so awful that they just can't risk letting it happen again. Learn from those mistakes, learn from the betrayal, learn so that you don't let somebody else like that in. Learn in such a way so you don't end up with somebody like your ex again, right? That's big. But if you give them that power, if you give them that power in such a way that you never let anybody in again, they win. And then the joke's on you. It's not on them. It's on you. They want you to be alone and miserable forever. They do. Not everybody. I'm not saying everybody, right? Most breakups, you want the best for your ex. You hope they're happy. You thank them for your time together, and hopefully, your breakup results in a way where you can still be friends and good co-parents if there's kids involved and all those things. But some people genuinely want to hurt you in a way that you don't recover from. And guys, that's the ultimate test in a breakup, right? It is. It's a huge test. How do you do this in such a way so that you come out not just healed and forgiving, but also open to something else that might be great, right? Because if you go through all that hell only to be alone for the rest of your life and miserable, and not to say that you have to be with somebody to be happy, I'm not saying that. Some people can spend lots of time alone and be really happy alone. That's there. But then there's that other person, and that person, right? Like we all know that person who had a breakup and they just never recovered, right? Ever. They'll be alone forever. You got to heal, man. You got to heal. And there's lots of ways to heal. I've talked about them on a bunch of these episodes. There's so many different ways to heal. But the one way to guarantee that they win, that betrayal ends you, don't do the work. Play the victim. Let their actions dictate your behavior. Let their lies impact you in a way that, you just shut right down. That's how they win. And that is not the life you were here to have. I promise you. That's not who you are. That's not your life. You're better than that. But if you don't have the courage to face that pain, you don't have the courage to do some real transformative work, that's who you'll be. And it's such a big part about what it is that I'm trying to do with this show. So I'm trying to help men heal. Because before you can get great, before you can become really strong, before you can capture your potential, before you can be that man that's in you, that greatness that lives inside you, if you don't heal first, you got no chance, brother. None. If you're listening to these episodes, I already know that you want to. I already know that you want to heal. I already know that you want to grow. Not to sound like a broken record, because I've said this a bunch of times, but this work, it's not going to kill you. It's not. It won't kill you. It's going to suck. Right? Like it's going to suck. But it's not going to kill you. Right? If you dislocated your shoulder, would you just leave it out of the socket forever? Because the thought of putting it back in would be too painful? Of course not. You'd suck it up, bite down on a towel, let them pop it back in and heal so you can go on with your life, right? That's what you do. Emotional pain's the same thing. It is. It's gonna suck. Like, really suck. Because chances are you're gonna have to go and dig deeper and not just heal from whatever hurt you. You're probably gonna have to go to the root of why you let that thing hurt you in the first place, right? The underlying issues, the things you learned during those formative years when you grew up, the pain whatever you went through, right? It's gonna suck, but you can do it. You can. I promise. And I'm going to talk on some more episodes about some of the different ways that I've actually done some really wonderful healing. I'm going to talk hopefully soon. I'm going to have my life coach on, who was my coach at a place called the Hoffman Institute, which was really where I first learned how to do some really deep, profound, wonderful, life-changing work. We're going to talk about that here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I just wanted to let you guys know that you don't have to go and play in the mud. You don't. That's where they want you to be, right? Because the truth is, the person who hurt you, they know they're an asshole, and they probably don't feel very good about themselves. They can't look at the mirror. They can't look at themselves in the mirror. They can't hold their head up because they know what they did to you, and they know you didn't deserve it. So the only way they can rationalize it is to try to bring you down to the place that they are, the place that they heal, that they're feeling, right? Which is about this big. So they want you to come down there with them. The last thing they want is to watch you rise above what they did to you. But it's the ultimate victory. It really is. As I said I talked about revenge on a couple of episodes ago. You'll know that you've made it when you don't want revenge. It's the last thing you want. You'll look at them with actual gratitude for giving you the fuel that you needed to grow and the fuel that you needed to leave them behind. Right? Because otherwise you'd still be stuck with them. Still stuck with your old life. So don't do that. If this resonates with you, or if you think that it would resonate with somebody else, please share this with them. There's so many people hurting in this world, you guys, like so many. And, if you're one of them, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through it. But you know what? I'm also happy for you. I'm happy that you're experiencing this pain. I'm happy that you're getting this fuel that you're going to need to grow. Because if you listen to shows like this, if you listen to shows designed to teach you how to climb that mountain, how to get through the mud, that means you want to grow. So good on you, right? I already know that you're that person. Anybody listening to this, I already know that you're that person who will use this pain to make you grow in a way that you couldn't otherwise. And some people are more stubborn, more afraid, more whatever. And those people, the truth is they're going to have to probably go a lot lower before they're going to do it, right? They're probably going to turn to alcohol or drugs or whatever, and they've got to go a lot deeper in that ditch before they hit rock bottom. And rock bottom's a beautiful place. It means there's only one way up. Some people have to go further before they hit it. And then there's that person who just never recovers. That fixed mindset, the victim. Don't be that guy. You're better than that. That's where they want you. And the last thing, no matter how much pain you're in, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't. It is not possible to feel sorry for yourself and be happy at the same time. You can't do it. It's also not possible to heal, to take ownership, and to start pulling yourself out of that ditch when you're feeling sorry for yourself. You want to be a victim, be a victim. But when you're doing that, just know that all the other people that you're blaming for your circumstance, all the people that you're pointing fingers at, no matter what they did to you, no matter what they did to you, if you're going to play a victim's mentality, if you're going to live in that world as a victim, then that's what you're going to be. You're going to be a victim. You're better than that. I know you are. We all are. Don't be a victim, guys. Don't. You're stronger than that. Be the hero in your own story. It's a beautiful thing. Guys, that's it for today. Short and sweet episode. But I again, thank you for all those who reached out with their stories. It's been really fascinating to listen to so many others' perspectives, and it means a lot that you trust me with this stuff. So I'm not serving any drinks, but I like playing that bartender's role. I love learning from people, and I love hearing the stories that people have, good, bad, and otherwise, right? My favorite ones, of course, are the ones who, somebody tried to take them down in a way that they'd never get up. Not only did they get up, but they got stronger and better than they've ever been. I love hearing how they did it. I love how they embraced the pain, how they healed, how they let that pain wash over them. They're so inspiring. They really are. They inspire me. And when people reach out with those stories and I get inspired, then I can sort of use that to spread these messages and hopefully inspire others. So, guys, thanks. Your feedback has been just awesome, and I love the interaction. So please keep it coming. And like I said before, if this stuff resonates with you, share it. Please share these episodes with your friends and family, and most importantly, that person who really needs to hear it. And you know who those people are. So anyway, that said, thanks, guys.